brother was born.
Aaron's birth.
When I was directly born.
My parents had discussed, because it was a scheduled delivery, they were gonna induce my mom. They decided to invite me and Elizabeth and Hannah and my grandma to be present for Aaron's birth.
I remember I didn't go to the hospital.
Me and Rebecca and Matthew, I think, went over to our aunt and uncle's house.
I was kind of nervous, kind of excited.
I had been induced because I had preeclampsia.
She checked my mama and said, we have a prolapse cord, and she pressed like this button, and a ton of nurses just like came rushing into the room.
They discovered that Aaron's cord had prolapsed into the birth canal, and every time I had a contraction, it would cut off his circulation.
So then what?
So his heart rate was dipping with every contraction. So all of a sudden, a whole bunch of people came in the room. A light was pushed. A button was pushed.
And I was like,
I pushed the button, and she then started giving instructions as calm and as cool as a cucumber on a hot summer day. She was just nothing major was wrong. She turned, and while holding the baby's head, looked at the girls and my mom and said, you all need to go out into the family waiting room, do that now. And they prepped the bed and started wheeling Sarah out with April on the bed with her hand in the birth canal holding the baby's head. And I just kind of walked out into the hall watching them wheel my wife away, going, well, what do I do?
remember they wheeled my mom out of the room, and me, my grandma, my sister Elizabeth, and Hannah, we all gathered in a circle and we said a prayer and prayed that everything would be okay.
I didn't know if he was okay. I didn't know if he was gonna be okay. There was a lot of uncertainty.
A lot of unknowns.
I go into a changing room where they hand me scrubs meant for a person of typical size. I am not a person of typical size. And so I just walked out in my skivvies and said, I need something larger.
Didn't they give you like 2 juices to drink or something?
Yeah, they did. They actually gave me 2 orange juices and they said, you need to chug these. I was like, okay. If they'd handed me alcohol, I would have chugged that too. I was just following instructions.
Then I remember April saying there are no heart tones. And at that point, I said, just get the baby out, because they were testing to see if I was numb, and they were putting more medicine in the epidural to make sure I was numb. And the doctor wasn't even there yet. I don't know who started the C-section, but someone started the C-section before the doctor arrived, because there were no heart tones. That's my recollection.
And then they lift Aaron out. And Aaron, you were a really gross color of gray. And I remember your arm just kind of flopping out. And I forget what the score was, but I asked what it meant. And essentially, you got a really low score on this APGAR thing. And basically, it meant that you had all the parts where they were supposed to be. And that's it.
Nothing. None of them working.
No heartbeat, no movement, no color, no breathing, nothing.
There were the complications of him not breathing after he was born.
That was a scary experience because there was absolutely nothing that I could do. I just had to trust.
There's a verse in Proverbs that says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not into thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him and he shall direct thy paths. And that scripture came to my mind, and I didn't feel like everything was going to be great and everything would turn out awesome, but I did feel some peace.
Things were going to be okay, because sometimes you just feel like it's not going to be okay.
When he was born, he didn't have a heartbeat.
He didn't have a heartbeat, so they were trying to figure it out.
I remember this doctor came out and he's like, hey, he just wanted to let you all know, like, mom is doing great. Your mom is doing awesome. And I was like, Mom, but like, what about the baby?
So they started breathing for him with this little tiny thing. And then they were doing compressions. And it took forever. And I have it written down somewhere how long it took before they got his heart to beat and how long it took for him to breathe, take his first breath. But I remember when they got his heartbeat and they got him to take his first breath, looking at Sarah, and I was just so overcome with like just relief. I couldn't talk. Kind of like right now, it's hard. But she's like, is the baby okay? And I'm like, I couldn't say, yes, the baby's fine. I couldn't get the words out.
And I don't know if he's crying because he's happy or sad or what. I was just like, what's going on?
But a while later, my dad came in. And I'm sure I've seen him emotional as a child growing up, but I think this is the first time that I actually remember my dad being so emotionally distraught. And he let us know that mom was okay and that the baby was okay. But there was a lot of, I think, trauma that came from that experience, and obviously a lot of relief, because ultimately Aaron was okay.
They quickly showed him to me. We took a quick picture, and then I didn't see him again until I woke up, like my legs woke up and I could move my legs, which was like awful. It was the most horrible feeling in the world to be in this recovery room all by myself, trying to get my legs to wake up so I could go see my baby, because that was the requirement, is that I had to have the epidural wear off. And I felt terrible. I don't know, they probably gave me 1 million drugs and I just felt sick and yucky.
I distinctly remember there was one nurse that was like super awesome, taking care of everything.
April, the nurse,
Yeah.
had to sit on the hospital bed with him and mom, holding a needle in his head.
Not quite.
Something like that.
April held Aaron's head in the birth canal.
Oh,
And then
okay.
once Aaron came out, they needed to give him fluids. Once he was breathing and his heart was beating again, they had to put an IV in.
Yeah.
And they put the IV in his head.
Yeah.
I remember them trying to get an IV in to your little tiny extremities, and then they finally put one in the top of your head. And I thought that was kind of cool. So you had an IV
And I thought it was kind of cruel.
going into your head at the top. It was actually really neat.
Where they showed us a bunch of pictures of him being like set up with all these wires and general just devices.
I felt horrible when my baby was in the NICU. It's a feeling that you can't describe because it's total helplessness.
Aaron went to the NICU for a few days.
Something cool about that prayer that we said when we were standing in that circle is we said it at, I think it was like 6 p.m. exactly, and my dad sent a text later and said, baby boy born at exactly 6 p.m. I feel like that may be one of the more significant points in my life where I was like, whoa, life's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's, bad things do happen sometimes, and in this case, the thing that happened could have been a lot worse, and we could have lost, Aaron.
Aaron got better fast.
But I'm so grateful that he's here, and I continue to be grateful every single day for his light in my life and the lives of others.
afterwards, went to must have been an Easter activity or something.
Yeah, Krista.
Saw Krista, and Krista looked so much like our nurse April. I couldn't look at her without getting all choked up because I had so much gratitude in my heart for this nurse who was just so even keeled and taking care of everybody. And so I actually purposely moved so I wouldn't see her anymore because I kept starting to cry. It was embarrassing. And then she moved right in front of me. I was just like, oh, torture. So
I remember him being extraordinarily cute. And that was abnormal because Matthew was ugly.
I'm lucky. I came home with my baby, and I have Aaron today, and I feel so blessed to have him, to be able to raise him and to have him in our family. He is a joy, an absolute joy, and we love him so much, and we're so grateful that things turned out the way they did.
He had his chin was what is it? Like a button, and Mom would press it a bunch and be like, "Look at this, guys, press it."
The prime button.
that's right, the primer.
Oh, I forgot about
That's
that.
funny, the primer bulb.
Yeah, his chin went in like half a centimeter,
Yeah.
and you could just press in and then it'd pop out, just like priming the lawnmower.
Everybody loves him, but I do think that he is a special gift in the lives of many. And so I'm very grateful that things turned out the way they did, and I'm grateful for the experience.
It was an experience that was really difficult. It was worth it, though.
Totally worth it.
Totally worth it.